All right. Good morning, Making Moves family. We are back. It's Tuesday at 10 a.m. Tim, how you doing today, buddy? You're not even paying
Not bad.
attention to me.
What's that?
There you are. Now you're paying attention to me.
I
I
was
can tell
paying
you're
attention.
multitasking.
I was having a little technical problem, man. I
What's
was
up,
trying
man?
to
How you been?
solve it. Good. You?
I can't complain. Got a lot of deals under contract. We're working like madmen right now. It's going to be a pretty crazy month of August. I'm super excited for it.
August and September, I think.
August and September.
I think we're gonna roll right into the cooler weather. Pretty much hot on fire, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's gonna be a good fall. That's for sure.
Dude, speaking of hot and on fire, you, my man, like kicking some ass last week.
Trying to.
Um,
Um,
wish, wish
so
I wish I could say more about it, but
yeah, don't say too much now.
yeah.
Um, anyways, yeah. So because of what's going on in the market right now, I mean, Tim and I, we got a ton of stuff going on. I have to be vague, not too vague, but at the end of the day, we have been talking with a ton of investors. And there's so much uncertainty right now. Everyone's like, oh, it's going to be so hard to find money. We're at the crest of the market. The real estate industry is coming down, and this, that, and the other thing. But really, at the end of the day, it's fear mongering in the news. Everyone is believing what they see in the news. And my man, Tim Vest, said it the best. He's like, yeah, the article says, oh, real estate is going down. But if you read the article, it actually says in tertiary markets that nobody even knows where they are, right? But if you're investing in high quality, high growth markets like Charlotte, Raleigh, Houston, Dallas, Austin, anywhere in Tampa, like near in Florida. I mean, there's so many good markets, right, that have a lot of job growth, rent growth, population growth. We're not really seeing any downturn in pricing. We have seen things kind of soften a little bit. I think sellers have been a little bit more flexible on our ask of different terms. Pricing
Mhm.
has changed marginally, but terms is really kind of the big one. I think my mindset here, Tim, correct me if I'm wrong. My mindset here is that sellers know that if they have to go back to market with a property that's currently under contract, they're going to get less than what it's currently under contract for. So they are more willing to work with you to give you an extension in order to close out the deal at the price you had already agreed upon. Do you
Yeah,
think that's
no,
fair?
you're spot on, and that's probably one of the biggest differences, right? Like you talk about softening, and prices are kind of settling. They're not coming down, right? They're not coming down because, quite frankly, guys, like things were just overpriced.
Yeah, right.
they're they're coming to reality, is how I would put it, because they're not coming down.
Mm-mm.
What you are seeing, Vitelli hit it spot on. What you are seeing is once you have something under contract. Unlike last year where a seller would look at you and go, "Man, I'll put it back on the market and make another million."
Yep.
Now they're saying, "I don't want to put it back on the market because the Fed just bumped the rate 75, basis points and my property just got less valuable." Um,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
and so you're seeing that. You're seeing that from Tim. We've had a couple of negotiations where we've had to go back to the sellers and the interesting thing is, a year ago where the seller was just like, your money's hard, I'm yanking it. I'm yanking it. Now they're
Yeah.
like, actually, I don't give a damn if your money's hard. Like, let's talk.
Yeah. Let's figure this out.
Yeah.
Which is good. It kind of makes it a little less stressful. But it, the saying, the age old saying is like when deals are everywhere, money is hard to find. And when money is everywhere, deals are hard to find. We're kind of like in this kind of medium precipice right now where a lot of buyers have backed out of the market. So it makes a better buying opportunity for us. A lot of sellers know that they have to sell properties because they missed the peak of the market. Let's call it December/January of this year, right? January of this year, December of last year. So one of the biggest things that a lot of people have reached out to us about is like, well, there's been a real sentiment change with investors. It's much harder to get people to invest money with you. And I said, I don't know if that's really true. I mean, based on the recent events we had last week, I can guarantee you that that's not true. And all of it comes down to relationships, right? The whole point of what we do and why we spend so much time on the phone and we go out to all of these networking events and we, go have coffee and shake hands and kiss babies, is because you're building relationships with people, so that they begin to know, like, and trust you, right? It's nothing, and nothing, none of this happens overnight, right? There are some people that I have been talking with for 6 months, 7 months, 8 months before they invest into any deal. But then when they do, they invest in a big way. And that's really, really helpful, right? I mean, because it's one, it's the best thing for their money. And two, it helps me out a lot too, because I get to buy more property. And people say, or they asked, they're like, "Well, how do you get people to give you money?" And I said, "I don't I don't know. I've never asked for money, and I've never looked for a deal. Deals and money just flow to us." And it's because what Tim and I do is we provide value to the market through these Facebook Live posts or these videos that we do every week. Tim Vest posts all the time on LinkedIn. We're super involved in a lot of different communities. I'm speaking at a bunch of different mastermind events over the next like 60 to 90 days. I think I've been invited to speak at 4 or 5, and I was only able to commit to 2 or 3 of them. But the more you can get out into the market, and the more that you can establish your presence as being a market kind of market leader or industry leader, the easier it becomes for you to build the credibility and gain the momentum that you need in order to raise millions of dollars. And the biggest thing is, well, Christina's saying depends on location, location, location. And I think that that does play a part into it. But the biggest thing that you can do as an operator is to shut up and listen. What the hell am I talking about? People are always like, what questions do I need to ask, or what do you need to tell somebody so that they are going to invest money with you? And the best thing that you can do is just sit there and ask questions of what that person or that individual is looking for. And recently, we found a lot of success with the way that we're structuring our deals. We went through it actually in our coaching call yesterday heavily, of like how it works, why it works, what we're doing in order to push those kinds of things. But the way that we're structuring our deals now and making them work, it allows options for our investors. So you can have this conversation with an investor and you can ask them, well, what are you looking for? Right? What are you looking for? Are you looking for cash flow? Are you looking for equity? Are you looking for depreciation? Are you looking for what? What are you looking for? And the more questions that you can do, the more question I was reading that as that came up. The best thing that you can do is just ask the individual you're talking to what they're looking for. All I do is shut up and listen. I wish you guys would go on StreamYard and just make it so that you could see your name, so then we would know who's talking right now. The best thing, you ask questions, right? The worst thing that you can do is try to get a yes out of everybody. And the worst thing that you can do is try to force people to invest into your deal because it's such a good deal that they should invest in it. That's not your decision to make. That's the investor's decision to make. And it's your job to provide different options for your investor in order to make them feel comfortable with something that meets their needs. Meeting people's needs is how you will find success. It's not forcing people into doing something because you believe it's good. It's the other person. It has to meet the other person's needs. And it's so important. And it's a very simple concept. It's very easy to talk about. But at the end of the day, I find it that most people are so uneasy when they're trying to implement this, is because they feel like they need to tell everybody why this is such a good deal, or why that they should put their money into this, whatever fantastic opportunity it is. I don't care if it's a business or a real estate deal. Tim, what are you seeing when you're, talking with your different investors and things like that right now?
Yeah, actually, I want to say something about that, because guys, sometimes it's not easy, right? Like sometimes something is a good deal. Sometimes as an operator and as an investor as well, you yourself know, like, hey, we're entering a time when we're all pretty sure that we're in a recession, right? So we're entering that time. So let me look for recession-proof assets, right? And sometimes you find those things, and other people don't see the vision, right? And they don't invest in it. They tell you, no, not interested. Numbers don't look like this. Numbers don't look like that. Whatever. And in your heart that it's a great play. But you can't force that, right? So sometimes that shut up and listen also turns into, shut up and bite your tongue, because don't
Yeah.
force it, right? Don't
Yeah.
force it. Don't insult anybody, because at the end of the day, it's their money, and they need to feel comfortable with where they're putting it, right?
Yeah, you don't want like buyers or sellers remorse, you
Yeah,
know?
so they need to be comfortable with that, and in full transparency, because that's what we like to be. We have a couple, or actually we have one that's kind of fitting that model right now. But what it's also shown us is, man, like, everybody's talking about investors being hesitant or whatever, but I'll tell you what they're not hesitant about is strong markets. Like, you bring a
Mhm.
strong market to them, like a Raleigh or an Austin, or this
Any major metro.
or Charleston, South Carolina, that kind of thing. You
Yeah.
bring that to them, and they're like raising their hands, going, "I'm in, I'm in, I'm in," and things are going pretty quickly. Um, we're seeing that now. We over raised on something recently, and immediately those folks were like, "Well, what do you got?" We showed them something else we got coming out here in about a week or so, and they were like, "Yep, I'm in." you know so strong markets, strong fundamentals, those things still speak for themselves, even with people a little scared, right? Like, those still sell very well. So just keep that in mind as you're moving forward. And as far as like what I'm seeing when I talk to my investors, I am seeing some. I think I shared something this week about the guy who's like, I'm going to buy my Lambo or whatever.
Yeah,
um
yeah, we were talking
ins-
about that. You're gonna go buy a
instead of
$300,000 car, but you're not gonna invest 100 grand?
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit on my cash, but I'm gonna buy a Lambo.
Yeah, right.
That's literally the opposite of sitting on your cash. But still, again, it's his money.
Yeah.
I just have to go. Hope you pick the lime green
Okay.
one. I mean,
Hey, yeah, right. Yeah, I'll be here with more opportunities when you come back.
so I'm seeing that. I'm seeing that for my guys. I'm also seeing some folks who are very, very ready to find other places to put their capital. I last about 6 months ago, 7 months ago, we had a deal, and one of the guys who usually invests with me was like, "Man, I think I'm going to go put it in this crypto fund over here." I'm not kidding. I'm not making this up, guys. Like, he was going to go put it. He went and put it in his crypto fund because crypto was doing pretty good at the time, and just recently he came back to me. He was like, I think I'm gonna kind of pivot back towards more real estate right now. What do you got? So, things come around. For every person that's out there, sitting on their money buying a Lambo, there's guys that are kind of like, man, I believe in real estate. I need to put it in there. So,
Mhm.
lime green or Charlotte blue. Is that
Yeah.
is so those Lambo colors? I don't have one, so I don't know. Um,
Yeah, I assume they are, but yeah, Patrick Francis, he put this comment on LinkedIn, and he's just found that a lot of people are coming to him because they know that he makes good investments. Guys, how do you let people know that you're making good investments? You talk about it, and the best and easiest way to reach the most amount of people with minimal effort is on social media. Like, Patrick, you should go out there. You should post about what you bought, what the numbers look like, what the estimated returns are. I'm selling a condo next week. That was my very first investment opportunity. When I first bought it, I thought that I overpaid for it, and I was kicking myself because I was like, oh man, I'm going to lose money. I'm going to do this. But now I'm going to go and I'm going to make a post about everything that I learned from buying that deal, and also what the numbers look like. And the more you can be present on social media, showing how you're active in the market and actually like doing things rather than just sitting on the sidelines and talking about how I'm going to wait for the market to come down and do something different, is going to build that credibility, and it's going to open the door for people to come speak to you about the opportunities that you have that they can invest into. That also is like exactly how I've never looked for money and I've never looked for deals, is because if you just put out good content into the world and you provide value to the community as a greater whole, people are going to feel inclined to reach out to you and just talk to you about what you're doing. And yeah, you spend a lot of time. I spend a ton of time on the phone. Oh my God, entirely way too much time on the phone. But it's all necessary because I'm building relationships with people that one day might become investors of mine. And you can't do that by just, hoping and wishing that you find a really good deal, you post it on social media once, and then all the money is going to come out of the woodwork, right? They say find a good deal and the money will follow. That's absolutely not true. You have to build relationships with these investors first. You have to prove that you have a track record or you're connected with people that do have a track record, right? Partnering with the right people is very important. But then when you do get an opportunity, you know that you can post it to your social media group or your tribe, let's call it your tribe, and they'll be able to come to you and say, "Hey, I know that we've talked in the past and I really like what you've been doing. I've been following you. I'd really like to invest into a deal because I can't find any good deals. I don't have the time for good deals. I got a self-directed IRA that I can't do anything with. I can only invest it as a limited partner." There is so much money out there, guys. It is wild. And there was a comment on the post itself from Danny Galvin, a good friend of mine, and he was saying now he's turning down investors because they don't fit into his culture of his business.
There
And that
you
is
go.
absolutely true because money is everywhere. Money is everywhere, and opportunity is not. So,
Yeah.
as real estate syndicators and real estate operators, we have the golden egg, which is the investment opportunity. And our job is to provide financial returns for our investors. And the vehicle that we use is real estate. It's no
Yeah.
difference if you're, a business owner and people want to invest in your business privately or, think trading stocks, right? That's what you're doing you're buying stock and you're trying to get a return and they're investing in you, right? Man, it's just wild.
Yeah. Yeah. And guys, like listen to what Vitali's saying here, because the guy just, quite frankly, the guy just shot the moon on some a raise we were doing. And Tim, it didn't happen overnight, right? Like he just talked
Mm-mm.
about like having calls, having calls, having calls. And I mean, Tim, what you were doing, like 100,000 raise, 250, 300, $400,000 raise, and all of a sudden it just hockey sticked on you. Like you
Mhm.
double? You doubled recently, something like that.
Yeah, the very first, I mean, for full transparency, the first raise I did, it was like maybe 260 or 300,000. And then the next raise after that, it was only like a couple 100,000, maybe 100, 200,000. Then there was another deal that I did, it was like 700. And then another deal I did was 800. And then this one was almost 1.5 million.
Yeah.
Right. And
So
that's that hockey stick growth because I've put in the time and the effort to build the relationships with the people that are investing in these types of deals.
that's what we always talk about, right? Like consistency is key, guys. Like this for most people, this doesn't just happen. Like I started doing this and a month later I'm raising $1 million. For most people, that's not how this works. So just remember that as you're getting into these things, is it takes time. Finding deals takes time, building deal flow takes time, raising capital takes time. What's the old saying? Like dig the well before you need it. So
Yeah,
Vitali's basically been digging that well for what, 2 years now, and now it's really
easily
starting to,
2 years.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And some of these relationships go back before he really started, kind of digging into this.
Hmm.
And so, you just remember that, it takes time. Dig the well before you need it. It's coming. Just be consistent. That's one of the biggest things. Um,
Yeah, Joseph put something in here. He said, "I just put a deal under contract, close in 3 weeks. Do I start talking about the project numbers now and then document the rehab process and where the numbers end up at the exit?" There was something very powerful. I was at Mark Evans' DM event, and Austin Rutherford was on stage, who's like a social media genius. And he talked about, and I've heard this before. Austin Rutherford is not the one that invented this, but he just when he said it, it clicked differently for me. And essentially, what you're doing on social media is documenting your process or your journey. That's it. You're not creating content. Like a content creator is like influencers, like they sit there and they plan out content, they script it all out, they do all these recordings and reels and this, that, and the other thing. All you have to do is document what you're doing and record it and put it online. Hey guys, I just did this today. Here's what I think. Da, ba, 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 And then, a couple weeks from now, you can say, hey, we're doing an update on this property. I put it under contract. We ended up closing on it. Here's what we're doing now. And we're documenting the process along the way. Stay tuned. We'll see where the numbers end up. And then you can have, there's so much content that you can make from one deal. And it's just have the mindset that you are not creating content. You are simply documenting what you're doing. Think about it like I don't have any kids, but I like this analogy is that when you have kids, you want to take photos and videos of everything that they're doing because you're documenting them as they grow up as a child, right? I have a dog. We did that. I have hundreds and hundreds of photos of my dog. And the process and the thought process is the same when you're trying to post stuff on social media. for documenting your real estate journey is just document it. Like, just show
Yeah.
what you're doing, show what you're actively doing.
Yeah, and I would take that. I would just add two to that is your successes and your failures.
Oh
Be
yeah,
don't
absolutely. Be transparent.
don't yeah, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to talk about where things that haven't gone well. Because quite frankly, me personally, and I don't think I'm the only one out there. There's skeptical people in this world. We all have a certain level of skepticism. So if I see someone that's doing nothing but succeeding, I'm like, what aren't they telling me? Like,
Yep.
yeah. So the person that's telling me they're succeeding, oh yeah, but hey, here's where I stubbed my knee or stubbed my toe or whatever. Like, I like that person because it makes me feel like they are also telling me, the things that didn't go so well, and what they learned from it. Because that's the biggest key for me. I don't care if you mess up. I just want to know what you learned from it, and what you're going to do different next time, right? And in fact, speaking of investors, I was headed down to Columbia, South Carolina 2 weeks ago with an investor that I know very well. And on the way down, we were talking about some things. We were talking about a deal that I have under contract right now that's not going well. And we were talking about how we got to that point, and he just kind of looked at me and he said, "So, what are you going to do on the one I'm looking at with you to avoid that situation?" And, I was able to speak to that, right? I was able to talk about what I've noticed with this one that's not going well and what we're going to do different with the one that we were looking at together. And, so, being able to kind of show how you learn from your situation, I think shows folks that, hey, mistakes happen, but you learn from them. You don't, first of all, you don't just drop your head and walk away. Mistakes happen, you learn from them, and it makes you a better operator moving forward. Um,
Yeah.
and that's the biggest key right there.
Yeah. I mean, why is any of this important? All of this is important because what
Yeah.
you're doing by taking these actions is building trust with your investor network. And remember, the whole point of this show is that we wanted to talk about how we raise money. And this is how we raise money. We just document our process, we provide transparency, and we have a ton of phone calls. And I never ask anybody, I never say, "Hey, I got a deal." Well, except for my dad. I told my dad, I was like, "Hey, Dad, you got to put money into this deal." And he's like, "Okay, fine." But that's a little different, right? That, I mean, he trusts me to, like, manage his money for him, and he just does it. But I have never called anyone and just said, "Hey, I need you to put money into this deal." Because when you start saying I need something, then the other person is going to say, "Why are you feel needy? What is wrong with this deal that you're calling me in desperation or need of money?" Right? Now, I have had conversations with investors over the last week of, "Hey, this deal is filling up so quickly. I know you expressed interest. If you want it, I need you to make a decision now. And I'm calling you out of, a kind of a sign of good faith or a sign of, like, out of respect or whatever." But it's like, that's not me calling asking for money. This is me calling and saying your opportunity is going to leave very quickly if you don't make a decision right now. Right. So think about how that goes with that investor. They're actually more appreciative that you called them and they got the, I guess the first right of refusal to get into a deal. And it is completely different than calling and saying, "Hey, I need 100 or $200,000 for this deal." It's, "Hey, this opportunity is going to be gone like by the end of this day. If you want it, you got to tell me you want it now."
Yeah, and I will also say that that's where having good deal flow also it becomes beneficial as well because like Tim, I had a few guys reach out to me and they go, "Man, I was going to come home on Friday and do it." And I'm like,
Too late.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I wish you could. I would love it. It's just it's first come first serve. But at the same time, I was able to say, "Hey, if you're interested, also have this one over here that's coming out in like 2 weeks. And here's a quick look. If you're interested, let me know, and I'll put
Hmm.
you on a priority list for that one."
Yep.
And but still, the same thing holds true. It's going to be like when it comes out, you better hit it
Boom.
because
Yeah. Right.
this one's probably going to go too. So
Yeah. Don't sleep on it.
yeah. Um, so I mean, but that's when you start to develop that network both of deals and investors, they kind of play off each other, and you're able to, hey, sorry you missed this one, but I got this coming right here, and you kind of create that, like, don't hesitate, right? When it comes, let's not have this conversation again. When it comes, be ready to go.
Yeah, and that's also another thing that's really important to talk about, is you've gotten to the point where the investor has reached out. they missed out on a deal. It creates FOMO. It sucks that it's happened. I'm sorry, but I can't kick somebody out of this deal because you wanted in and you didn't take action fast enough. So you give them, here's a teaser of what we have coming up next. We structurally do this because we can't raise on multiple deals at one time, because then it doesn't work out well for anybody. It's you raise on one deal at a time and you structure it, one after another. I mean, there's a thought process there. And Sam Silverman even said it. I mean, when I was talking with him on the phone one day, and he was like, one of the most important things for me to do is to have consistent deal flow. He's like, even if I only raise 250,000 on one deal and 5 million on the next, just having my emails come out consistently to my investors keeps me top of mind. And if they don't get into this deal, they're really like, shoot, I really wanted to get into that deal. What's you got coming next? And it's exactly what you were just talking about. So, having that almost that conveyor belt of deals is so important, because it allows you to capture that momentum from your investors of, hey, I'm sorry you didn't get into this deal, but here's our next one. But also having the conversation with your investor of the returns that you see on this deal are exactly what we expect, or what you can expect from almost every deal that I have. This is the underwriting standard that we come to. These are the returns that we underwrite to. If you see a deal from us, the returns are going to be within this window. And then it's up to you to decide, yes, I like the deal. Yes, I like the market. Yeah, I'm going to invest. Or no, I'm going to wait for the next one. But the returns are always good. You have to label that. You have to let them know what to expect from you, so that there's no question there of like, hey, this is what we underwrite to for our investors. And, there's obviously going to be some variations here and there. Not every deal is exactly the same, but, this is what you can generally expect from me.
Yeah. Yeah. And guys, like, remember, sometimes they ebb and flow, right? Like, just like with the investor conversation, even with the deal flow. Tim, I think the last larger deal we closed on was what, March?
Yep.
Yeah, March. So what's it? It's August. Wow, it's August.
5
I think
months.
that's dawned on me like twice in the last day. It's August.
Yeah.
So yeah, so our last deal that we closed on was in March, and it's real easy to be like, I got nothing, I got nothing, I got nothing, but really that's just you're just building up the pipe, right? And now what? We got a deal, another deal, a deal. We got like four. They're going to be coming like in the next between now and end of September. And it's like, here's one. It's going to be a really, really good one. Get in. Hey, if you missed that one, sorry. You'll have to look at the next one. But having that deal flow is huge. So, just make sure that you're digging that well, both with brokers, both with
Mhm.
sellers, both with investors.
Yeah. And another thing is important to mention, just like, that, I mean, that's why Tim and I, we do like all of our deals together, because we bring different strengths and different zones of attention at each different point differently. So like, I'm working on a deal, that I've been working on negotiating for a while. And then Tim might not be working on anything. So he's working on his investor list. And then we flip flop. Right. So it's like we always have deals and we always have investor flow to us, because we're able to kind of switch between, we're able to kind of like intertwine with our ebbs and flows. They seem to coordinate pretty well, which is kind of a nice thing. But, when I don't have any deal flow, Tim does. When I have deal flow, Tim doesn't, and it kind of goes one in the same. And that's why it's like, it's important to go out to all these networking events and mastermind events and meet people that have access to deals and investors, because that's how you're going to be able to get into more deals and have more investors through relationships and referrals.
Yeah, and very good point. And hey, I got to ask. Like, I think I saw one of the events that you got asked to go speak at. What's your actual topic going to be? What are you speaking about?
So they kind of vary. One of the events is in Napa with Mike Izzo and Eugene Nilis. So I'm going to be talking about mindset and underwriting, and like things that we've seen. How are we adapting to the markets of underwriting? What's the mindset going into like the change in the markets and all of that kind of stuff? It's just, masterminds are a little different. The conversations are different. It's a little more, how you say, like, it's more intimate for one, but you kind of are a little bit more revealing, because the people that are paying to be there are paying to get access to something that they otherwise wouldn't have had. Dan Tollins is doing an event here in Carolina Beach at the end of September. I think it's September 30th and October 1st. It's like a 2-day thing. Man, I don't even know what I'm going to talk about that one. I mean, it's probably going to be something similar along those lines. It's really going to talk about what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, and what are we seeing in the market? How are we adapting? How are we changing? How are we improvising and improving consistently, right? Because it's not just a you improve and then you're done. It's you're constantly growing and constantly changing as you approach new problems in your career as you grow. And all I'm doing is documenting these problems and helping provide transparency to people that want to be in the position that I am now of saying, here are the things that I've experienced, here's what I've done. What are you guys experiencing and how can I help you? Right.
Yeah.
And having somebody that you can act as a sounding board to just kind of bounce things off of, hey, I know that you just went through that is so important. I mean, that's exactly why we started our mentorship group. Our mentorship group, we have nothing to give you except for our time. And we sit there and we talk and we talk and we talk because most people get stuck and they find reasons why not to do something is because they're battling something in here and they don't have anybody to talk to provide them clarity and guidance. So, exactly why we started our mentorship group too.
Yeah, and the reason I was asking that is kind of talk about how we play off each other because Tim's going to talk about underwriting and mindset, and he was talking about capital raise and stuff like that. So I'm going to be in September. I'm going to actually talk at the Bird 360 conference in Cincinnati, and mine's all about deal flow. Like they want me to come talk about deal flow. How am I finding deals? Like without running like crazy direct to seller campaigns and stuff like that. How am I building deal flow, and how have I done it over the last couple of years?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we play off each other
Nice.
there.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry. That's what I was going to
No,
mention.
that
Is
was
kind of
good.
how
I
we,
know. I didn't know you were doing that. That's going to be awesome, man. I'm excited for that.
yeah, and speaking of mindset, by the way, guys, like public speaking, right? Not me. So the fact that I'm getting up in front of a crowd, that's a whole mindset thing.
Are you going to be part of like a panel or are you doing your
Uh,
own like stand up thing?
it's just me, stand up.
Oh boy.
It's just me, stand up, microphone in hand. I got a whole
Woo.
bunch of jokes I'm ready to tell.
Yeah.
I hope you guys are ready because like my humor is a little more Stephen Wright. It's kind of dry. So
I took more of a Bill Burr.
yeah.
Anyways.
Here's one thing I would say: never say that. Never say that. You never
Yeah.
know, man. Never know. I mean,
You know how many
I'm
deals are going to come out of your presentation about deal flow? I can't even. We're going to, yeah, it's going to be pretty wild.
Yeah, never say no, right? Never say never. That's the old saying or whatever. Please don't,
Yeah.
because I mean, there's a lot of things that I'm doing right now. Vitaly, I'm sure, could say the same thing that I would have never thought I'd be doing.
Hmm.
Raising capital, me, no.
Yeah.
Public speaking, hell no. Like even in corporate America, I would like pass off, things to guys that work for me and be like, here, you go take the credit for this.
Yeah. Right.
Uh, so yeah,
Cool.
don't rule it out, guys.
I think you're gonna crush it. Don't sell
Oh,
yourself short.
I'm actually honestly, guys, like I'm not nervous about it at all. It doesn't
Not
bug me
till
one
you're
bit.
like standing on the stage waiting for them to announce your name.
You know what? It all comes down to being prepared.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm just talking about something I know about. So what's there to be nervous about? Um, you
Yeah.
know,
Cool. All right, guys, that's all the time we got for today. Thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions, reach out to us or post in the Making Moves Real Estate Community Facebook group. Always love to interact with everybody and try to help you out as best we can. So until next week, we'll see you later.
see you guys.